If you want to know what a man's feelings are like, let me tell you, he lives nearby, driving a white delivery truck, just as I guessed. He now feels like a frantic chicken. He swore to confront his wife on the spot, but time ticked away like a game of hide and seek until the second to last day. Until he spotted a white delivery truck. His detective instinct said it was the one the boss wife mentioned. He followed the driver on an adventure. He squinted and thought, could it be that his wife is with this baldy? He couldn't believe it and quickly stopped the driver. He pulled out a photo of his wife from his bag, and the driver's face changed faster than a chameleon. He seized the moment to vent his anger and kicked the driver like a volcano that had been long dormant. Then, he rushed to the place the driver mentioned, anxious to find his wife immediately, but the restaurant felt like it was in a fog of where did everyone go. Unless stopped by the restaurant supervisor, he realized he was played again. Luckily, he learned the driver's address, which felt like treasure. When he reached the door and knocked, he found it was unlocked. His curiosity piqued, he pushed the door open with a hint of it. What greeted him was a dull adventure zone, with the kitchen looking like it had survived a small disaster, and the only room in the house resembling a tornado. Shattered glass, bloody underwear, and the picture frame caught his eye. He looked closer and found his daughter's photo, making his heart skip a beat. Although he couldn't believe his wife would live in a place like this, the evidence was as shocking as a superhero bomb. He hurriedly knocked on the neighbor's door, hoping to learn their whereabouts, but they'd been outside the factory an hour ago. An hour had passed. Maybe they hadn't gone far. But after searching downstairs, all he found was an eerily quiet street. In despair, he returned indoors and pulled out a watermelon knife from the drawer, feeling like he was changing careers to a chef, completely forgetting to turn off the lights. He patiently waited in the shadows, wishing the driver wouldn't harm his wife, like waiting for a storm that may never come. Wait would surely last until dawn, but no one showed up. He had no choice but to call Old Mine for help, hoping he could buy a few more days. He called out, hoping his wife would stay a few days longer, just as he was about to drown in despair, but Old Mine replied without mercy. Old Mine threatened to send people to his mother if things didn't resolve, forcing He to seize the last night's opportunity. He handed some cash to the neighbor, hoping they could delay his wife's return, just for the dream of his escape plan. Then, he picked up the watermelon knife, wrapped it securely, as if gearing up for a fruit and veggie battle. This was the last day of the return trip. Tonight, he had to deal with Old Jin, treating it like a vengeful mission. As usual, he arrived downstairs early, confirming no one inside, sneaking like a ninja to the door. But midway, he suddenly spotted two shady figures, and he whipped around like a startled rabbit. They scanned the area, completely unaware that he was quietly observing them from behind, like lost souls without a map. He hid behind the wall, wondering what these two were up to. Were they rehearsing for a play? Just then, a black sedan approached from the distance, making His heart race, and he quickly took cover. Old Jin stepped out of the car, locking it as usual, and he couldn't help but feel like watching a drama of life. As the sensor lights flickered on, two dark figures flitted past the window. There was no doubt they were also after Old Jin, yet strangely, the upstairs sensor lights flickered ominously, but the driver downstairs seemed oblivious. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed as the glass shattered. Only then did the driver react, rushing upstairs, but the shockwave was too fast for He to respond. Holding the watermelon knife, he cautiously climbed the stairs, pondering as blood dripped steadily. He held his breath in suspense. Reaching the scene, he found the driver looming over Old Jin, who was fighting for his last breath. He felt like he had arrived at a life or death. The driver glanced back and was taken aback at sight of him, but from his gaze, it was clear he meant to eliminate any witnesses. As the driver approached he suddenly lunged with a knife, and in the panic, he even forgot the knife in his own hand, but he was knifeless. He has been fighting since childhood. Without a knife, he's still a seasoned fighter. As skills clashed, he used his surprising strength to push the adversary down, making him tumble like a trembling jelly. He hurried to Old Jin's side. Although he didn't actually kill him, it felt like he efficiently completed his mission. Just as he stuffed Old Jin's thumb into his pocket, he realized someone was upstairs. Seeing Old Jin's wife covering her mouth, he didn't plan to silence her. Instead, he turned and ran downstairs, but just then, sirens blared outside, making it clear that going downstairs he had to bolt upstairs. Thankfully, Old Jin's wife hadn't locked the door, so he dashed into Old Jin's house and rushed to open the side room window. Luckily, there were no cops outside yet, and he crawled through the window just as the police streamed into the building. 6 stories above ground, the upstairs cops quickly found him. Soon, those downstairs surrounded him, ruining his escape plan. In a dire situation, he kicked the glass out, diving back into the building, as nearly all the cops converged on that side. Fewer people may be on the other side. Hearing cops next door, he grabbed a computer, smashing it through the window without hesitation. Near the window, he saw cops gathering, leaving him no choice but to gamble. Fortunately, the police cars provided a cushion, and Alty quickly got up, but the officers surged in, encircling him completely. Yet Alty, relying on his sheer luck, tore through the officers like a raging bull, darting down a side street. Sensing something was off, he swiftly ducked into a narrow alley, forcing the pursuing police cars to struggle to keep up. Passing the street, he thought he'd lost the cops, but more awaited ahead, cutting off his escape. He had no choice but to dash onto the main road, allowing the police cars to rapidly close in, and in the next second, Alty surprised even himself with his thoughts.